Summer Session number 7. To start our first mindful minute, we'll just tune into this present moment by taking some calming breaths. There's no need to change the breath too much. Take note of where it is right now. Become aware of any other sensations you're feeling in the body. Settle into a nice stable posture that's still nice and pliable, like a lump of soft clay. You can become aware of the feeling of the paper under your hands. And the layout. Maybe give the fingers a little stretch here. And a little wiggle before we take a look at the layout and think about what we want to create here. For this light bulb air balloon design, I want to use some colors that are on this door that I'm going to use for my craft part. But for now, I'm going to start with these really simple shapes with this line and little half circles. These will just warm up the fingers and the wrist and get some of those nice creative juices flowing. You can make your lines as long as you like. And these circles don't have to be perfect. In fact, they look kind of nice if they're a little off and sketchy. Just keeping everything kind of loose to begin with. I think I'll start with this first bulb balloon in this peachy pink sort of color that I'm using. I'm just outlining the main bulb shape with some ridges for the bulb bottom. I kind of want a couple of these flowers maybe to be the same color, maybe some of the stars on this other balloon. That way there I have some congruent colors in all my balloons. This is a fairly simple design, so it won't hurt to go into some details, even though the main forms aren't down yet. But you can always save your final details to the end. And just first create 3 of these big circles with sort of tapered ends and these little ridgy screw part of the bulbs at the bottom. A peachy color that I want to mimic in this little design that I want to match up with my door later, so I'm just going to dot some of that in now. The other colors I wanted to use were a sort of orange and yellow and light green, keeping things very summery to match my summery door that you can see part of poking out. The flowers here are just very, very simple little 6 or 7 petaled daisy looking things. Again, you can keep these very loose and sketchy. And the big flower on this one just has some teardrop shaped petals that'll outline. Maybe fill in with some marker so I can get some nice bold color down. That would work well for this stripy part too, is a nice bold marker line. This is a fun, simple design to use all my types of tools on, because marker, pen, and pencil will all create different sort of textures and boldness versus fine lines. So that can create a lot of interest even within a very simple design. Gain some blue into this bottom part of the bulb, although I'm not sure how much of it is supposed to be light bulb-esque and how much is supposed to be balloon-esque. But I suppose since these creatures don't exist in the real world, we can just be fanciful and do whatever we feel like here. These don't have to be anatomically correct light bulb balloon things if such a creature were to exist. I think the important part with these is using fun colors. Bright colors are what I feel like using today. But you could also do them in more muted colors or something that works with your own crafting today. But since it's summer, I feel like using a lot of yellows and oranges and peachy pinks. Definitely gone off the line in a few places. And I'm not sure about this bottom part, but I think I might just put a thicker line down on it. One way to make a mistake look a little bit more intentional is to just go over it and sort of cheat the line over to something that is just a little more pleasing to the eye. And when I say cheat the line, I'm using an expression which, again, is just sort of implying that you're tricking the eye into thinking that it's a little bit more correct than it is. But this is just a little journal doodle, so we don't have to be too attached to perfectly straight lines that are exactly where they should be. This is a good place to make mistakes, maybe erase some of them, but also just not be too worried about making everything perfect. There's not much of a visible difference between my pinky, peachy sort of color and my orange. So I might add some yellow in here because that might make the orange look a bit more orange. And then the pink might look a little bit more pink with a peachy sort of color colored in. This is another way to sort of cheat the eye in the direction you want to go. It's not really cheating, it's directing it. And that's what we're doing when we make art, is directing the eye to different things. Or in this case, just having some fun with simple shapes and a simple concept. I might make this a bit bolder with some orange marker. And that's about the amount of time I had for this art part, but I just want to get a little bit more bold yellow in here before we move on. So a couple more dabs. And there we go. I'm happy with that. So we'll check back in, tuning into the present moment by paying attention to the breath. Just seeing if it's gotten a little bit quicker or more held during that time we were drawing. Check to make sure the posture hasn't scrunched in down towards our page as it's liable to do. Straightening back up and just feeling the paper under our hands. Becoming aware of where our shoulders and arms might be holding some tension. Or maybe in the face or the legs. Can give a stretch to the arms, maybe do some wrist circles here just to let out a little bit of that tension. And do some more flicks, shaking it out before we get into this writing prompt. Which for today is: what is your favorite song or poem about summertime? Why? How does it make you feel? So, right away, I definitely want to pick out summertime as a word that I want to have in its own color. Just because. And I'm not sure which color I want to use for what, but maybe I'll pick out song and poem as other words to sort of make more prominent through different colors. You don't have to do this. It's just something I like doing because then my mind can wander over this prompt while I'm having fun with the fonts. And since I'm thinking of it now, I'm just gonna jot down summertime and the living's easy. I have two versions of this song that get stuck in my head, the Sublime version and the Janis Joplin version. So I don't know which is my favorite. And I think I also, as a side note, want to make sure the sticker fit in here. So I might actually have to do a little bit of erasing to make sure that happens. We'll just abbreviate easy. And yeah, I can't decide which one I like better, so I'm just going to jot down both. They both have very different feels to them. Although both are very lovely, lazy summertime songs. Another one I think of as a summer song is, "Oh, Saturday sun, I met someone out on the West Coast." So, jot that one down too now that I'm thinking of it. Certainly one of my favorite summer tunes because it just reminds me of playing songs in the car while my partner and I go road tripping. I know there's more that I'm not thinking of right now, so I'll just let my mind wander over that while I fill in the rest of this font. As for how these songs make me feel, I'll get to that in a little bit. For now, I'll just use different colors for each song, and then I can write down what those songs make me feel like in the same color. It's one of the reasons I like using many different colors like this, besides making it tie into the design. And I don't know how much of a summer song this is, but kind of like the last one, just thinking of songs we play in the car, usually on road trips. Baby, I went down to the riptide, taking a trip to the dark side. I wanna be your left-hand man. Don't ask me what any of that means. It just, I guess Riptide is a beachy sort of theme, so that definitely feels summery. And purely because I've heard it played for beautiful Sunday disco days over top of some higher beat dance music, Bill Withers' Lovely Day. When I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. So that does remind me of dancing with some lovely people on some lovely days. And to tie in with my earlier song, Saturday Sun, again, makes me feel like I'm road tripping. That's a feeling, right? It's just like anger, sadness, road tripping, hunger. Those are all feelings. We haven't taken a big trip out to the West Coast in a while, but someday. As for the summer times, those just remind me of being a teenager or a young 20-something again, since those were the times of my life where I played those songs a lot more and also sang them badly, much to the chagrin of cooks I worked with. It's funny how you remember song lyrics from different eras, more or less. Definitely remember a lot of the lyrics of songs that I learned as a teenager and kid. They're just burned in there, which means I have a lot of Brad Noel's lyrics. But I have some good stuff too. Fortunately, I got interested in some jazz at a young age, some good classic rock, and some classical. I had some weird tastes as a kid. So I'm kind of, I think, reaching the end of how much I can think up for songs. I can't think of any poems right now that have to do with summertime. It's not so much. But I did want to put this tape in here. Only one of those songs can be said to have been made in the 80s, but oh well. We don't have to take all these stickers so literally. Speaking of the 80s, there's probably a lot of really summery songs from that era that I'm not thinking of. Oops. Want to make this tape sticker pop a bit more with one of these explosion stickers. Yeah, right there. And I think that's about as much fiddling around as I'm probably gonna get time for before my sand runs out on this writing prompt. But I'm happy with that. Yeah, so we'll check back in for our third mindful minute by tuning back into this present moment, reconnecting with the breath, becoming aware of the sensations you're feeling in the body, checking that the posture hasn't drifted. The shoulders can have a tendency to skew towards your dominant hand when you're writing, so you can set that back in a nice, stable but pliable place. And just breathe. Feel the paper under your hands. Maybe give one final stretch here. Maybe a self-hug. This will release some tension in the shoulders. And you deserve it. We've done a bunch of work. Not that I'd call this work. We've done some fun work. So it's time for the crafting part of this now. I've got some summery tapes that match my design, and since it's a door, I'm definitely going to make this a functional door by putting some tape hinges on there. That'll give me a little bit more space behind there so that I'm not covering up my writing prompt. And I can paint with some tapes and stick stickers in there a little bit more willy-nilly if it's not set in one place. I've been really enjoying this butterfly tape to make what I keep calling butterfly hinges. They sometimes require a little bit of extra clear tape to make them a bit more strong and stable, but they're still pretty looking hinges to make this a functional door, but also a pretty functional door. Might go a little crookedly, but fortunately, I don't actually have to use this door. And I think I'll just go with 2 hinges. I could try and slip a third one in the middle, but it's not necessary. Not that anything I'm doing here is strictly necessary. It's a funny adjective to use in this space. I'm going to continue my door with this paper, so I'm just going to stick it down with some clear tape. I might embellish that a bit later, but for now, I just want to make sure it's going to be in the right spot. And I'll put some tape on the other side of that. But maybe first I'll get this prompt boxed in or framed. Or could we call this the crown molding, since there's a door underneath? Carpenters will hate me. Might need some corner bracings for my crown molding. And kind of want this ice cream cone flower sticker to be sticking out from behind here a little bit. Just to kind of create a little bit of a layer. This helps to show that there's kind of a layer behind there by putting it half behind. There's some other little yellow flowers that I want to mimic the flowers by this balloon. I think they go with well. Was going to put them by the ice cream cone, but I think they belong down here. I might see if I have any other flowers I can stick with that back in my little behind zone. I tend to stick some stickers just with ticky-tacky in the back of my book, just so I have some on hand for sticker emergencies. I think this orange one will go very nicely on this ice cream cone. Yeah, I like the look of that. But I think we need more tape here. What do you think? Oh, one thing I've been experimenting with lately is making sticker door handles. So the trick to this is finding a sticker that you want to sort of stick midway down a door, so a piece of paper that has been put in with some hinges, and then you take half of the backing off the sticker, and I leave the whole backing on this and I just tape down the other side of it on the reverse, but you'll see here I'm just going to peel back half of the sticker. It's a transparent sticker, so I hope this will be visible enough, but I'm going to find the spot where I want this door handle to sit. I think I kind of want it in here so it's reversing that curve. And I'll stick down the sticky side and then just sort of let the other bit of it leave the backing on. So now the sticker is kind of half stuck in, and again I'll have to tape down the other side of that, but it does make for a little sort of tab that you can use as what I keep calling a door handle. I think to get that stuck down I'm just gonna grab a little piece of cardboard to stick behind it for a nice flat surface. Here we are. And while I'm here, I'm going to stick down the other side of my paper. Or should I say, I'll reinforce my door with some more tape here. Kind of like the look of that green too. So I might try and get some up here. Yeah. Up here by my green writing. Sometimes I like making sort of tape rows, just grabbing similar kind of cohesive types of tape and just doing a strand of each, so that it makes sort of a multi-level tape area. I suppose if I'm continuing my bad carpentry comparisons, we could say that this is the wallpaper. Kind of might think about adding some of these owls into the picture. Owls aren't a very summery bird, but I do think of birds as being a summery animal, and I kind of want them with this sun sticker, even if it's on the other side. But there, now that's finally stuck in. I did sort of wander away from finishing that door handle for a bit. But the whole thing about being mindful isn't that you never wander. It's that you maybe take a look up every now and again. So I certainly went over time doing this whole design, and I'm just gonna speed up the rest of my fiddling around with tapes so that it doesn't take forever. I did end up adding a couple of these little stars in to embellish, and I also had a couple metallic pens that I wanted to add in for the little light bulb wires, strengthen some of those colors. And I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I did want to add a couple butterfly stickers as well, so those made it in a sort of column getting smaller and smaller. There we are. I'm happy with that, and I hope you enjoyed this time crafting, making some art, and writing about your favorite summer songs or poems and how those make you feel. I hope you join me again, and I hope in between now and then you have some lovely journaling sessions where you do whatever the heck you want, unprompted, out in the wild west of journaling. The music was provided by the Lofi girl, and details are in the description. And as always, it's on the Lofi's to Live By's playlist. Thank you for paying attention.